Hello, this is Nina Perez at Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Thank you so much for watching. This show is created to give you resources, tools, and tips, and to speak about life topics, hopefully to challenge and transform your thinking. Today, I am here with some very special people from an organization called the Caroline House. I have Lucy Freeman here and Claudia Avila here with me today. And the Caroline House, which I want to introduce you to, was established in response to a direct need in Bridgeport to break the cycle of poverty through education. The Caroline House is a literacy education center that is located on the east side of Bridgeport, Connecticut. They offer English as a second language, life skills, preschools, children's tutoring programs that serve the low income and immigrant women and children in that community. This is an amazing organization, so I am really, really happy that they're here, and I want to introduce them to you. So thank you so much for being here, ladies. Thank you
for having us.
So this is Lucy Freeman. Lucy Freeman in the house. So Lucy Freeman is the executive director and an SSND associate, and I want to welcome you for being here. And Claudia, you are somebody who went to the program, right? Yeah. So you completed the program?
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. So this is going to be a great conversation. So Lucy, thank you so much. I think that what the Caroline House is doing is really amazing and something that I believe in, because I really do believe that education can break the back of poverty. So to offer that to people is a very powerful tool. And I noticed that your name also has the SSND on that, and I just was wondering if you could tell us what that is and a little bit about that.
Sure. SSND stands for School Sisters of Notre Dame.
Okay.
It is a congregation that sponsors our program.
Oh, okay.
And as an associate, I partner with that organization while I'm in Caroline House.
Oh, okay. So they have, are they part of the Caroline House, or are they just an association that works along with?
They are really our sponsors.
Oh,
they
got it. Okay.
actually own the property that we use.
Okay.
And they give us money to help the program run.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's
substantial.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Lucy. Have you been doing this for a long time, or is this something that you grew up doing?
Pretty much. I've been in the social service field for about 30 plus years.
Okay.
I know I don't look it, but.
Not at all, not a day.
I started out with substance abuse counseling,
Okay.
and I've continued to work with mostly the homeless population. I've been here in Connecticut for the last 26 years.
Okay.
And I have really been able to support people who are in need.
So education has probably always been something that you look towards also, right? I would think in social service, when you have somebody that you're dealing with that maybe has a drug addiction, like you were saying, that it's probably, you probably see more change and freedom in them when they get some education on that. Is that right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. The Caroline House was different for me because most of the time I'm working with populations of people that have major issues like
Okay.
substance abuse
Okay.
or a medical diagnosis of HIV or AIDS, mental illness,
Right.
and Caroline House, it's really women who would like to learn this language so they can enhance their lives.
Right, so they're seeking you out already.
Already, yes.
Right, so they're seeking you out to improve themselves. That actually is a change, isn't it? And it probably makes it a little more rewarding, maybe, right? Because you're dealing with somebody who is actually responding in the way that you want them to, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I find that Caroline House the population is so full of gratitude.
Right.
And they're hungry. They're
Right.
hungry for knowledge.
Right.
So they come to Caroline House wanting to learn more and wanting to advance, excited to be there. And one thing that we try to do at Caroline House, it's not just education. We try to address some of the issues and the barriers that don't allow people to actually come to school.
Oh, that's good.
Because that becomes a challenge. Most of our women are between the ages of 18 to, we have like some women that are about 80 years old.
Wow. That's
And
awesome.
it becomes a challenge, and we try to address things like if someone may be getting evicted or their lights are out, or
Really? So you deal with that as
we
well?
deal with that. We bring resources into the organization to help with that.
That's wonderful, because you're right. I know for myself, I know a lot of people who are immigrants, right? And I love them. They're dear and they're wonderful. They're hardworking. one of the things that is a challenge is having those barriers that you're talking about. It's very true, and that stops them from doing a lot of things.
Yes.
I was speaking to a young man actually that wants to learn English as a second language. He works really, really hard, but he works like 2 and 3 jobs. You know, so the barriers are so much that he can't get to a class,
right.
you know,
right.
to learn the language. So he's trying to learn it by having just conversations with people, watching, he says he watches a lot of TV in English, things like that. But what you're talking about is some pretty serious things that can stop someone. You know, if somebody's electricity's out, they have to worry about paying for that, taking care of their kids, you know, things like that. So for the Caroline House to even extend that is a beautiful thing, because you're thinking of the person as a whole and not just about, I'm here to just educate you, so come, you know. I mean,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
I mean, seriously, because you can have that attitude if you want to, right? Like, we're offering you something, so you come.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to you saying, okay, we're offering them something, but what is it that they need so that they can come? That's a very different attitude, right? It's a very different attitude. That's a very powerful thing that the Caroline House offers, and I didn't even know that. So that's a really great thing. I wanted you to talk a little bit about the mission of the Caroline House. You know, what's the mission there? You know, what do the viewers need to know, or what do you want them to know about the Caroline House?
What we want people to know is that we are educating people so they can reach the fullness of their potential.
Right.
I think a lot of times, for whatever reason, people believe that when people don't speak the language, that they're not bright, that they're not intelligent.
Yes.
And it's a sad stereotype.
Yes.
Because I meet so many wonderful people, wonderful women who have so many gifts to offer, and because they have an accent or because they can't speak English as, you know, well, they're treated as if they're, you know, they're not important or they don't know anything.
Yeah. And that is so important, Lucy. What you said just touched a nerve for me, because that's really true. You know, being that I'm from Puerto Rico, my family's from Puerto Rico, I was born here. But I remember my grandparents going through stuff like that, like people talking to them like they're idiots. They're completely not, you know. But and I was talking to someone who was talking to another person that doesn't speak English well, and so they thought that if they speak louder, right?
That's very common.
They thought that. If you go, and I'm just like, I just looked at them, and I'm like, I had to pull them to the side, because it's not that the person was being mean or rude, right? It's the person is ignorant to what they're doing, right? And I think that unless we educate people on that, because that's a very, very important point you just made. If we don't educate people that is not proper, and that is not the way you treat someone who speaks a different language, they will continue to do it, right? And that is the point of straight talk. The point of straight talk is to bring tools to your thoughts, bring some way for you to think of things differently. You know, somebody who doesn't speak English doesn't mean they're not educated. It means that they're not educated here. Those are two different things. I mean, you can be bright as all get out, and if they put you in the middle of Germany, but you don't know how to speak German, somebody yelling at you in German is not going to help. You know, so that's how I kind of try to tell people when they do things like that. When I saw this person doing that, I had to pull them to the side and be like, if you were in the middle of Germany right now and somebody was yelling at you, would you understand them? And they were like, oh my God, did I do that? And I'm like, you did do that, you know, and I didn't want to do it in front of that person, but I just want to let you know that you yelling at them did nothing. You know, but that's very clear,
It's funny that you would say that, because I was on the way here, I was sharing with Claudia, when you're in another country and you are not able to communicate, how challenging it is and how you feel. And I was sharing with her that I was recently in the Dominican Republic, and I, as an intelligent person, I felt very small there because the things I wanted to say, I could not communicate. So I was thinking intelligent things, but I couldn't necessarily communicate that to others. And so I know exactly what that feels like.
And that's good that you know what that feels like because of the position that you're in, right? I think that if you're not educated, or not educated, but if you're ignorant to that, right? If you've never experienced that, you don't realize the challenge that the women are having to even walk through your doors, right? Because when you're somebody who is from a different country and speaks a different language, and this program might be offering you something, but you still have to make the move to go in there, right? And hope that you can at least tell them what it is that you're looking for and what you need, and that you'll be treated with respect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and many of our women, there's a high percentage of our women who speak Spanish, but we also have women who speak French, who speak Creole, and we also have someone in our program right now that speaks Arabic.
Oh, wow, that's
so
awesome.
it is, you know, we are open to anyone who does not speak, English is not their first language. And I always try to communicate to them that they speak English the way I speak Spanish,
Right,
you know,
right,
or the way I speak their
Right,
language,
right.
because I want them to feel comfortable. We have a kitchen area where everyone takes a break. And I encourage, my office is right next door.
Okay.
And when I hear a lot of another language, I always come out and say, I want you to try to speak English.
Right.
And not that I'm taking away their language, but I want them to get in the habit of practicing. You can speak whatever you want to speak at home, but here we speak English.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And I try to do it in a way so that they understand that I'm not trying to take anything from them.
Right.
So sometimes I do it in a joking way, and I walk up to them and I say, "You talking about me?" And they say, "No." You know? And then I said, "But I don't know, because you're speaking in another language, and I don't know what you're saying."
Right.
And I also, you know, we have students that are from different nationalities, and maybe one or two are sitting at a table filled with people who speak Spanish, and I can see where that makes them uncomfortable. So I try to encourage people. This year, they do it a lot more. They're trying to speak English in the earlier classes more than they've ever done, because I've been really pushing that as much as possible. And they do see students like Claudia and some of my other students that come back and they're speaking English, and they're looking at them, and I said, she just graduated a couple of years ago. Or it's, you know, and they want that. So they realize the only way you can do it is if you practice.
Right. So that's so a couple of years ago. So how long has this program been around?
This program has been around almost 25 years.
Wow.
It's been around for a very long time.
You know, I'm just hearing about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, 25 years is a very long time.
time.
So that means you have a lot of people who have graduated from this program. And I'm assuming that throughout the years, the program has probably evolved, right? Or has changed in some.
It's definitely evolved.
Yeah.
I've been there in this month, I've been there for 3 years. It doesn't feel like 3 years.
Right.
And what I did is I tried to bring a little bit of me.
Right.
You know, so I looked at the different programs, what we had. We have volunteers that come in and tutor. Before I arrived, there were volunteers that were teaching big classes, and I felt like if we could condense the classes and have the volunteers supporting the actual teachers.
Oh, okay.
And the School Sisters of Notre Dame, in the beginning when I first arrived, most of the teachers were from the School Sisters of Notre Dame.
Okay.
But it's an order that these women are getting much older, and they're retiring, real retirement. They're retiring, and they realize that they are not, it's very difficult to get another School Sisters of Notre Dame person in. So at the moment I have 2 teachers who are nuns and 2 who are lay people.
Okay.
And I'm also the first lay executive director.
Oh, okay. So then and that's a good thing to mention also, that just because they're nuns, or that's what you said, right? They're nuns. Okay. It's good to know that you're a lay person and that they have lay people there, because you don't want people to think that you can only go there if you are Catholic, I'm assuming, right? Because you said nun. So that's good too. And also I like that you mentioned that you have students that also speak different languages. So that means that I'm assuming your instructors don't also just have to speak Spanish, or don't speak Spanish, or it doesn't matter, right? Is that correct?
Some of our instructors have a little bit of Spanish.
Right.
I unfortunately have very little bit of Spanish.
Right.
Or any other language for that matter. I'm working on it. Because the goal is to speak English.
Right.
And you know what we find, a lot of instructors tell me that it's actually more challenging for them because they want to revert to speaking Spanish when they get frustrated with wanting to communicate something. It automatically will happen that they'll start to speak Spanish.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of the School Sisters of Notre Dame, the nuns, they have been in missions work for years.
Right.
And so they've been in Puerto Rico, they've been in Honduras, they've been to Ecuador. So they've learned the language through their missions work.
Okay, so they know how to speak it.
Yeah, and not all perfectly, you know.
Right.
They can get over, you know.
Right. But it's a beautiful thing that you have, you said some people speak Arab, right? And Creole,
Arabic,
and Spanish. And so that's beautiful because now you're introducing people that probably wouldn't get together any other time, right? And you're teaching them all the same thing, but they're all in the same boat together.
Right.
You know, they're doing this together. So it doesn't matter that you speak Arabic and that you speak Spanish. We're doing this together. We're both struggling with it together, and we're both going to get through this together, right? So, Claudia, you took the program, right?
Yeah.
And you graduated?
Yes.
What did you think of the program while you were there?
Oh, it's a good program. I helped to me a lot. So now I can speak in English.
Oh, that's wonderful. So did you, when you first went to the program, were you scared?
Oh yeah, like now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because when I started, I couldn't understand nothing.
Wow.
I only, hi, good morning, bye.
Right. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you speak it so well.
Oh, thank you.
Then that program works. That's wonderful. So,
Yeah.
so when, how did you hear about it? How did you hear about this program?
Oh, my sister-in-law was studying.
Oh, she was, okay.
Yeah, and she talked about me to Corona House. And my son's teacher,
Okay.
she told me about some programs for kids, for after-school program.
Okay.
Yeah, because he had some problem in reading.
Yeah.
And I'm decided to go to Corona House.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you know, it's good that you knew someone too, right? Because it can
Yeah.
be really scary to walk into
Yeah.
a place and not know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can imagine walking in there and being like, oh, are these, you know, what am I going to do?
No, and when the people start to talking in different language,
Yeah.
and you couldn't understand what happened.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. But that's wonderful. So you stuck it out. Was it something that you found like you were excited to go to all the time? Like, was it something like, oh, I'm going to take my classes today? Or were you like, oh, I don't want to take my classes?
No, when I started, I liked in
Okay,
the first day, and my challenge was go to the movie theater and see a whole movie in English and understand.
Oh,
and
that's
I
wonderful.
want to try, and I decided because I needed to help my kids for the homework.
Right.
And I say if I not go today to the school, I not learn.
Right.
And I can't help them.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I like.
Yeah. Did your kids understand the language, or they had to learn it in school also?
No, they understand.
They understand.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So did your sister-in-law ever graduate?
Yeah.
Would have been bad if she did.
Two of them, because I have three sister-in-laws here, and one of them they graduated, and two they can't complete it, the
Okay.
program.
Yeah, that's good. I'm really proud of you for completing it. It's not
Yeah.
an easy thing to do.
Oh,
It really
no,
isn't.
no.
You know, especially when you're a mom, you have kids.
Yeah.
You have to help them, and you
Yes.
have to now try to find time for yourself
Yeah.
to go to school, and then you have to work and take care of the house. It's not an easy thing. It's
And
not.
then study.
And then,
Yeah.
and study, right?
I remember when one of the teachers told us, the students, when you end at the Carola house, leave your house, your kids, your husband, your appointments out the door.
Right.
And we respond, we can't. Because we are, for example, me, I always are thinking, oh, I not finished to clean. What are you cooking today?
Right.
I got to go shopping.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to concentrate it.
Yeah,
on
it is.
The class.
It is. It's difficult. I mean, and that's for all of us, though,
Yeah.
Claudia. I mean, that's all of us. You know, I'm supposed to be doing something, and I'm always thinking about the next thing I'm supposed to
Yeah.
be doing, right? But I mean, that's a good point that you're making. It's also a good point for anybody who's going to be contacting the Caroline Heights to realize that it's going to take a little bit of work. You know, it's not going to be something that's super easy. You have to go. You have to show up.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be there. You have to concentrate because these things are important, right? I think we get frustrated sometimes as people because we
yes.
want it to be now,
Yeah.
right? But this is a language. This is not like, you know, you're just learning like a math problem, which can be probably translated in every language. But this is actually a language which is very difficult.
Yeah.
So I can, you know, I commend you for that. Really good job, you know, completing it.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful. I wanted to talk to you about that, like what the different programs that you have, because you've got quite a few going on there. So you have your English as a second language, right? Which I want to talk to you about what that means and what that looks like.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about the life skills, the tutoring, the children's program. So let's start with the ESL classes.
Sure.
So how does that work?
So usually the way we have it set up now is in the summer, students come in, potential students come in for testing. We do a computerized testing called CASAS testing.
Okay.
And in that testing, we determine what level a person is in.
Okay.
You know, we find we have so many different types of people that come to us. So some people know how to speak the language, but they can't read English or write.
Okay.
Some people can read it and write it and can't speak it. So
Right.
it just varies.
Right.
So we have them tested. We can do a reading test and a listening test to see where they are on the spectrum. So right now we have introductory to level 3.
Okay.
And most of the students who come in who really are not able to have any communication in English, we tend to put them in the introductory class. And the introductory class, there's a particular curriculum that we use, and we have the whole set up until we can go as high as level 4.
Okay.
Once they come in and they take the class, then they get promoted the following year to the next level.
Oh, okay.
And so it takes a little bit of time. It
Oh,
can
that's
take
good.
anywhere from 2 to 3 years to really
wow.
complete the program.
So is there a timing that you have for each course? So let's say I wanted to come in and I'm in the introductory course. Is it like 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months? Does it?
Oh, it's a semester. We have really 2 semesters. So the first semester lasts from September to the beginning of January.
Wow.
And then there's a little break. And then the second one is from mid-January to June.
Oh, wonderful. So it's a real school.
It's a real school.
It's a real
school.
school.
We follow the Bridgeport public school system. So the schedule, any class, if Bridgeport schools are closed, we're closed.
Okay.
If they have
so
a half
helpful.
day, we
That's
have a
so
half
helpful.
day.
Yeah.
We really try because we know most of our students come from Bridgeport or the greater Bridgeport area.
Right, right. But to follow the school schedule is so important because when you're a mom and have these little ones, what are you going to do?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So how does the day start? Does the day start at like a 9 a.m. to like something?
The
or-
day starts at 9 a.m. For those, we have a preschool in our program designed for the mothers that come to our program.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we ask them to come a little bit earlier so that the children, they can, embrace the fact that their mom is leaving them for a few hours and
Right.
they're going to go upstairs. And that's where Claudia actually works now. So she's an employee of ours.
But they also do many other things to help the community. And we are going to start talking about some life skills, the tutoring program you have, the children's program. Because when you wrote when I saw that you had on your website the life skills, I was very interested in that. What does that mean? Because I feel like a lot of our schools, and I know you're not like a school per se, with a school building, but a lot of our schools took away those life skills programs. I mean, when I grew up, we used to learn home ec. You used to learn cooking and sewing and all that kind of stuff, and they don't offer that much anymore. So what do you mean when you say that you guys offer life skill programs?
Well, we mean something a little bit different, especially for adult learners.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've recognized is that people who come to this country, they need to know what their resources are.
Oh.
Many of our women, prior to coming to Caroline House, have been sort of isolated, and understandably so. They can't really get on the bus because they don't know where they're going if they can't read the signs.
Right.
So a lot of
Wow,
we've
stuff you don't
found
think
that
about.
stuff you don't think about.
Yeah.
So a lot of our women come to us telling us that they basically stay home or within a few blocks
Like
of
a
where
walking
they
radius.
exactly. And so one of the things that we do is really try to educate them about as many areas of their lives that we possibly can. And we do that with other organizations. Like, for example, we have the Center for Family Justice. They come in and they give presentations about abuse and about their own abuse, potential abuse, and the abuse of children. We have ABCD come in and they talk to our women about the resources that they can have. So, understanding what is available to them, what are benefits that they may be able to get. For example, how to get on the SNAP program, how to apply for various things. How do you apply for a driver's license?
Yeah.
How do you go and get a mammogram? We have a mammogram group come in to do mammograms. We have Walgreens comes in and gives flu shots. So any opportunity,
That is awesome.
even some of the schools like Sacred Heart, we work very closely with Sacred Heart and Fairfield University and Bridgeport University. Some of the students that are learning certain things, they come in and they give presentations. So they'll give nutrition. They will give I'll wrap that one. Okay. They will give presentations about what you should be feeding your children, what you should be eating. How do you watch your weight? How do you watch your blood pressure? What is diabetes? All of these different things. And they give lots of material for them to take home in English and in Spanish.
That's awesome. I love that. Those are like real life skills, you know, and stuff you don't think about. I never thought about how you can't get on a bus if you can't read where you're going. Like, duh, you know?
Yeah.
But I didn't think about that. That's really great. And you're really like helping them also navigate this very crazy system that we have, right? Like, you know, some women don't even know how they're going to feed their kid, but if you know how to help them, or if you can help them learn how to apply for like a SNAP program or something, or free school at lunch program or something, that is so helpful.
Yeah.
So I could see why you call that a life skills. Okay, I get it now. That's really great. That's really great.
And we try to look at every area. So how do you get dental services? You know, how do you go for eye exams? Where are there? And there are plenty of resources in the Bridgeport area. Free eye exams, free dental exams. You know, all of those things, just to how to access those resources.
And you know, a lot of times, even I who speak somewhat perfect English, somewhat good English, I don't even know about those things, you know. I think there is a lot of resources and programs that go underutilized because we don't know about them. And most of them are nonprofits, right? So it's not like they can go and advertise all this stuff. This is why we hear about, I don't know, lens crafters, let's say, to go get your eye exam, but you don't hear about a free eye exam being done, right? So that's very interesting. And is that something that you share with many people, or only your students, or how does that work, the life skills? Like, do they have to go for ESL classes, and all these things are attached to the ESL or the being a student? Or?
It's a perk of being a student at Caroline House.
That's awesome.
So for example, the Connecticut Food Bank sends a truck from, now they'll send it from March to August. They send the Stop and Shop food truck to my program, and they have classes that they teach on various things. It's not always just nutrition. It's about reading to your children, and they give out books and everything. And at the end of these 30-minute presentations, the women get to go and shop on this huge truck that parks in front of our house, and they get to get vegetables and fruit and milk and meat, and it's only for
like
our women.
Store.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And sometimes people are walking past and they want to know, but it's for us, because
That's
it's
really
a part
great.
of being, you know.
It's a perk.
It's a perk.
And it's something that also shows you as a student, right, that being a part of something is important, right? That coming to classes is important, that being a part of this community is important, because it's not just teaching you something, it's also supporting you, right? And so that's a really beautiful thing. And the reason I ask is because sometimes people like to cherry pick what they want to pull out of an organization, but I think that a lot of times you should be involved. You know, you should be there, and you should experience the full thing, you know, the full offerings of that, you know, nonprofit, because there's a lot of people doing a lot of good things out there, you know, but sometimes I think human beings can be a little selfish and maybe want to pull one thing out of there, right? So I'll do the life skills, X the ESL, even though I don't speak English, you know, that type of thing. So, Claudia, tell me about your experience. Did you get to experience like all these wonderful benefits, like your kid going to the program and all that? Did you get to do that?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
And
how did you feel about all of that?
I was so comfortable with this program. They Caroline House offered us a lot of different kind of programs. If we needed something, they can help us for contact someone who can help us.
Right.
And I happy with a food truck.
Right.
Because
so you were able to get that too. Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So did you feel like, okay, this is like more like an organization I want to be involved with, right? It's like you're not just there and then leave, right?
Yeah.
You want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's really great, Lucy. This is an organization that really needs to be kind of yelled from the rooftops, because there's a lot of people who need you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people
You
who
know,
need you.
we are unfortunately a well-kept secret. You know, sometimes it's the community knows that we're there.
Okay.
So the women, we don't really have a problem with people finding out about us, but on a larger scale. When I talk to other organizations and they say, oh, we never heard about you, you know. So I try, that's what one of my missions is to make sure that people get to, get the word out as much as I possibly can.
Yeah. So they've been around for 25 years, which is a long time, right? And being a nonprofit, you're a nonprofit, right? Yeah. Being a nonprofit, it's really difficult because you're right. It is unfortunate that you're a well-kept secret. You know, it is unfortunate. But so your classes, I'm assuming because it's actually in a house that's called the Caroline House, right? How limited are your classes? Like, do you have just a couple of students per class? How does, is there a max?
No. Well, I go as many chairs as I have. And so, for example, right now we have 4 classes running.
Oh, wow.
And that's the introductory class, the level 1 class, level 2, and level 3.
Oh, wow.
And
so they're all running at the same time?
They're all running at the same
Wow.
time.
Okay.
And level 1 class right now has about 27 students. Level 2 has about 18 to 20 students.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, that's level 1. I'm sorry, intro has 27 students. Level 1 has about 18 to 20 students. Level 2 has about, I want to say she's up to 12. And level 3 has 12.
Wow.
So
That's
it's pretty
people.
active. Yeah, you have to come visit us because you don't, when you look at the house on the outside, it looks like any residential one-family house.
Right.
But we blew the back out, so that's why the preschool is in the out back.
Okay.
And the rooms are really large upstairs.
Yeah, and that's a lot of students. So when let's just go back to your food truck complement to this program. I'm just thinking in my head how you're not just affecting like 1 or 2 families, right? Because I think that until I asked you that question, I thought the classes were smaller, So to hear something like 27 on just an intro, that's a lot of people, right? That's 27 families you're affecting, not just an individual. That's pretty good. Wow, that's a lot of people in that one little house, or the house that we think is little, right? So that's wonderful.
Yeah. And one thing we take great pride in is that the house is created to be comfortable,
right?
Because we recognize that people are nervous when they walk through the door. So you walk in the house and there's a living room.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There's a kitchen. You go upstairs and there are classrooms, but for the most part, there's a comfortableness, and most of my students will say that they like to be there because it feels like home.
Okay,
and they make it home.
Yeah.
When they sit around the table and they laugh and they joke around, and these are women that are coming from, although they may speak the same language for the most part, they're coming from everywhere. They're coming from Guatemala, to Ecuador, Mexico. Some of them are from Brazil. Some other, they come from everywhere. But they manage to get along with one another.
Yeah, and I mean, because they're just struggling with the same
they
things.
Have the
right?
they have
but
something
most
in common.
humans are struggling with the same things. It would be nice if we got over our egos and just were able to understand that we all have struggles, right? So I think that that's what the house is representing, right? That under this roof, we're all the same, right? So we're all going to be treated equally. Nobody's better than another. We're all going to get through it, right? So you have a living room, you said, and you have a kitchen. So are those places where a student can come and just kind of sit down and take a breather and lounge for a second?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So it is their home.
It's their home, and it's so much so that we have a schedule for cleaning the home.
Oh, you
so
do?
I don't have a cleaning service come in. All of the students have the responsibility of when it's their day to clean the house, and they do an excellent job.
Wow.
They don't sugarcoat. They do an excellent job.
That's fantastic.
You come to us, especially on a Thursday.
You're making them want to be there. It's a part of them, right? That's really great. You're making them put skin in the game, is what I'm saying.
And you know what? I realize that they're proud. They're proud to be there, and they're proud to help.
Yeah.
I had to get that revelation when I first arrived. I didn't want anybody to take my garbage. I just felt like that was, I can take my own garbage out. I can do. And then I realized I had to let them do things for me because that was their way of giving back. Our program is a free program.
It's a free. I was going to ask you that. So it's a free program to go to school, learn English as a second language from intro to 3 is free.
It's free.
Can I sign up? Do you do a master's program at the Carolina House? That's fantastic, Lucy.
Yeah.
It's free. Okay, so and you have services and you give life skills. That's amazing. People need to know about you because people need to give to something like this,
Absolutely.
right? So, so the women are then come in and they come and clean the house when it's their day, and so now it's really like theirs, right? So, like if they see something that's out of place or dirty, they probably want to fix it and clean it up.
They do.
Right? Did you feel that way
Yeah.
when you were there? When you were
Yeah.
cleaning, did you feel like, okay, this is like my house and I got to take care of it?
I always say that.
Yeah.
Carolina House is like our house. We felt like they are my family because
Right.
now we met a lot of people and
Right.
now I have friends.
Right.
They stood together.
Yeah.
And we share at the break. We brought for lunch different kind of foods and we share with everybody.
Yeah.
And she
That's
knows.
why I can't wait.
Because the food is good.
Oh my goodness! And you know you can't say no to Hispanic
Oh no,
women.
you can't. No.
So and
Even
then
if you're full.
at 10:30 in the morning, you get like a whole setup of food, and then Miss Lucy.
Oh, and they're just sharing?
Yeah, they just share.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, you feel it's warm inside the
Yeah.
house. So you
Wow.
you can feel it's like a school.
Right.
It's a house. It's like you are a student in your
Right.
own house.
There's a difference, right? I mean, there's
Yeah.
a difference between walking through a stark school and going into an actual house. It's a very smart move on their part, you know? And they've been around for 25 years. So that probably was something that they had to start with, was a house. But I bet you that because of the feeling, they probably were like, we're going to keep going on this model, right? Because I would feel more comfortable too if I was in a home as opposed to in a square white room with a bunch of chairs in it, right? It's a big difference between both. I mean, you have a living room so you can lounge. I mean, you have people who bring you food all the time. I got to come visit. When is lunch? What day for?
What day is it?
That's fantastic. So you felt like it was part of your house too.
Yes.
So when you feel that way, right? I bet you were probably like, you don't want anything dirty. Like if you see paper on the floor, you pick it up, right? That kind of thing. I bet you like is that that mentality to all of them, right?
Yeah, because we need to keep clean for us.
Yeah.
And everything has to work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you also have a heart of appreciation, right? Because you're like, I'm getting this program for free, right? I get to come here, I get to bring my kid, I get to learn these extra skills that are really amazing and something that most people don't think about. That's like a whole program. That's a 360 of a program. Everything's there. And the food truck comes or the shopping starts, you know, and stuff like that. That's amazing. So that's your life skills and the amazing program that you're running that didn't even realize it was free. I mean, it's not free, right? Because you always have to work at trying to get donors and things like that. And I do want to touch on that a little bit. So, but I did want to talk to you about the tutoring because I see you do that as well. So anything else that Carolina don't do? What's the tutoring about?
So we have an after school and summer program.
Okay.
And that's where we have actually high school students come in to help with the tutoring.
Oh.
So we only have it for 2 days a week. Again,
Okay.
it's also free. And the high school students come in and they work one-on-one most of the time with, because we usually have a lot of high school students and a lot of kids, it's about 45 kids come into the program. And they...
Oh, so it's for children
It's for
at the tutoring or for the adults?
No, for the tutoring is also for the after-school program.
Oh, got it. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So, so at about 3 o'clock or so, we go down to the Louis Munoz Marin School, and we bring the students back.
Oh, you bring them?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
wow.
bring them because it's a block, 2 blocks away.
What you mean the kids for the after school program?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So they sign up and they get enrolled, and they come in for those 2 days, and they get tutored. We start with homework, you know, homework help.
Yeah.
And then to some of the older students, we have them reading a particular book. They'll read it as a group and talk about it.
And so you have high school student volunteers.
Yes.
That come in and do that.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
They come from Staples School. At one point, we had students coming from Harding High School in Bridgeport.
That's wonderful.
The Westport schools.
It gives them something to do too,
Yes.
and something they can look forward to. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, they get community.
That's really
they
great.
get community service hours for that.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And then, so you just touched a little bit on it, but I want to know about your children's program.
Yeah, that is for the children's program is really that's a part of it. So
Okay.
the after school program, the summer programming, and then we have the preschool. And the preschool is designed for the moms of. I'm sorry, the preschool is designed for the children of the mothers that attend our program.
Right, right.
So we don't open that up. We can't open that up because the moms should be on site when their child is there.
Right. Okay. So that's not like an open
No.
child. Okay, yeah. Let's not go down that road, right? Okay. So you work there now, I think,
Yeah.
right? But you were saying earlier that you also volunteered there, right?
Yeah,
So,
last year.
What's that?
Last year. I
Last
was-
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you graduate the program?
2 years ago.
The year before last.
The year before.
Oh,
last.
okay. And so last year you just took it upon yourself to volunteer.
Yeah.
Wow. And did you volunteer for the kids?
Yeah.
Doing the kids. What did you think of that experience?
It's so different than learn English, but I like the kids.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Did you get to take care of any of the kids from the women that you were liking during the lunches and stuff? Like, did you get to take care of some of their kids? Some of their kids were in your class?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did that. You volunteered for a year, you said? Wow, that's commitment. And so now you work there.
Yes.
Are you working in the program still with the kids?
Yes.
Oh, so you do like kids.
Yeah.
If you can volunteer for a year and then take the job, you like the kids.
Yeah, I
That's
have
good.
three. I have three. I love it.
I'd like to add that the job opportunity wasn't like offered before the volunteering. It wasn't like she
Right.
thought she was gonna. She had no idea that she'd get hired.
Right.
For
She did it 'cause she wanted to.
Because she wanted to.
Right.
And I have a few students that come in and continue, not to the extent that Claudia does, but I have a few students who've graduated who come back and help out. So I have a student that literally gets off of work, comes to our program to make sure that we have an incentive program in the basement. So for gently used clothing or appliances,
you do that
people
too?
bring bring those things to us, and it requires organization.
Right.
So the basement is pretty much her baby.
Okay.
And she comes in and she says, "Do you have any work for me today?" And she did it today before I left, and she will organize the clothing and everything so that it's just
so
right. And she's very particular about it. So
Yeah, right. How often does she have to come?
she comes about two or three times a week just
wow.
to see if we need anything.
Wow.
You know, and sometimes it could be something simple. She's helped in the back. We also have a backyard for the kids. She's helped with some of the gardening back there.
Wow.
Whatever you ask her to do, if you want to help her clean up the garage, whatever you ask her to do, she's available
That's
to
wonderful.
do it. Yeah.
I mean, when you said she comes back once in a while, I'm
No,
thinking
no,
once a
she
week,
comes
once
pretty
every
frequent.
2, 3. Wow, that's
She's
amazing.
yeah.
Because that means you, the Caroline House has really touched her in a very personal
Yeah.
way for her to have to come back, right?
Yeah. Well, she talks about being grateful all the time. You know, her daughter, we were able to get her daughter into one of the preschools that is run by ABCD.
Okay.
So she's very appreciative of that happening.
You're doing
and
great
she-
things. Really. So let's talk really quickly. We're almost at the end here. I wanted to talk to you about how a student can reach you.
Okay.
How does a student reach you?
Okay. The best way to reach us is just by calling us.
Okay.
I don't know if the number gets put up on the screen or whatever, but
I have 203-334-0640.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So that's how a potential student can reach you, just to find out what's going on and what programs you guys have, right? Also, what does it take to be like a volunteer or a donor or something like that?
So there are various areas where people can volunteer.
Okay.
We do have continued volunteers in the preschool
Okay.
area. And some of those volunteers will come to us and they will, I mentioned before that we have kids from the ages of 2 to 5.
Right.
So some of the older children, like maybe 3 and a half and up, we try to pull them out of the preschool and give them some instruction, you know, so
teaching
learning
a
their,
little
yeah,
bit.
so learning their alphabet or a little bit of reading or whatever they can do. So we've had volunteers come and pull them. We have another location in the house specifically for that purpose.
Okay.
We also have volunteers to help with the tutoring of adults.
Okay.
So as I mentioned before, not every adult can come to class.
Right.
And right now I have a waiting list of 43 people who can use tutoring. So, and we have areas in the house for
them
that to
come and
happen.
tutor.
Yeah. And they because they can't come 4 days a week, so they'll come 1 day a week, or they'll come a couple of days a week.
Do the people that tutor have to be ESL teachers?
No, not at all.
Okay.
You know, one of the things that I think, because people often ask me that, well, they tell me I don't speak Spanish. That's okay, because we're not teaching Spanish, we're teaching English.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, and it's actually easier for a person who does not speak the language to be a tutor.
Because you're focused.
Right. And you also, sense. You don't, you know, you by not speaking their language, it forces them to learn how to speak English.
Wow. And so you have a waiting list right now, so you need volunteers.
I need volunteers desperately.
You need volunteers. Okay, so hopefully as this show comes out and we let people know that and that they don't have to speak Spanish, maybe there's more people that want to do some volunteer work out there, and this is a good cause. It's a good way to do it.
Just to very quickly to say that, you know, what we ask is that there's an application on our website for volunteers, and they come in for an interview to find out what their reason is, what's their desire. We also have online training, so they can understand how to work with an ESL student, because it's a little different.
Yeah.
But it's a very simple training, and then we have a curriculum that is very basic that they can start with, and the curriculum tells you everything you need to know.
So the curriculum for the tutoring, I'm assuming, is a little probably less intense than the regular one?
It's actually the same curriculum.
Oh, it is?
But it's at the pace of the student. So when you're working one-on-one with someone, then you just go by whatever the student is ready to learn that day is what you will go over, and you can review it. So tutored students don't necessarily finish the curriculum, depending on how many times they come a week.
Right, okay. So the waiting list, let's say, the people that you have on the waiting list, are those people that are already students?
No, those are people who have, we started over the summer to get students in for September, but they just keep coming. They keep coming. And sometimes what ends up happening is once the classes are full, we end up having people just start, knocking on the door. I want to learn English. I want to learn English. I want to learn English.
Okay.
So then we have to say, we have to stop because we have to they have to be tested.
Yes.
So then we start taking names.
Yeah. Okay.
And phone numbers.
Wow. So there's a lot of the Caroline House is doing, but there's a lot you also would like, right? Some help from volunteers, some donors would be great, right, to keep you guys going. So basically what I wanted to ask, and I had it here, is what's the best part of your job? And we're going to close with that. What's the best part of your job?
The best part of my job is seeing people like Claudia.
Yeah.
When they first walk in the door, not being able to speak the language, and then now I'm having full-blown conversations with them.
That's awesome, isn't it?
It's great to see that. It is absolutely excellent. I get so excited when I'm able to talk, and to see the confidence that they have now that they learn how to speak. I have another Claudia who's she gets very cocky with me because she can speak English now.
Listen, you're doing beautiful work there, and I really want to thank you guys for being here with me today, because something like this is what I like to talk about at Street Talk. I just wanted people to know that there are resources out there for them. You don't have to be stuck. We got you.
Right.
This is what we're here for. So you need to contact the Caroline House, and it is thecarolinehouse.org, or you can give them a call at 203-334-0640. You better go ahead and give them a call. Maybe you can be a volunteer, maybe be a donor. Just go by and check them out. They're a wonderful organization. I hope that you join them. Thank you so much for watching. This is Nina Perez at Straight Talk, no sugar added. Until next time.
Hi, my name is Karen Maizencho. I am a senior at Fairfield University with a double major in psychology and Spanish, and a double minor in Latin and Caribbean and health studies. I am here to tell you today that all of my success is thanks to Caroline House. It all started when I graduated Colby Cathedral with a community partnership grant that helped me attend Fairfield University. My mom came from Ecuador 21 years ago and came here to Connecticut and heard about Caroline House. That was what allowed her to have an education as English as a second language and have a place where she could leave her daughter downstairs in the preschool. All of the education that she got from Caroline House was able to help her push me to get my own education and later push my brother for his future studies. I want to thank you for all your help that you had given us and all of the other families that have attended Caroline House, because without you, I wouldn't be able to be the person I am and have the success that I have now with a year left in college and a future medical interpreter to help all of the communities around. I want to thank you for everything you've done and ask you to please make a donation to help all of the other families that are around here that need your help and for the upcoming academic year and all of the families. Thank you.